As we step into February, I want to continue the conversation that we've been having in January, where we're talking about pressure and consistency, how they're not the same thing. So many women believe that if they could just be a little more consistent, more disciplined, or more confident, everything would finally click. But what I've seen again and again, that consistency doesn't come first, that clarity does. And we've been talking a lot about that. So today I want to talk about what happens when clarity begins to take shape, and specifically how it can change the confidence that we have. Welcome to the Flourish podcast for faith-driven women who are ready to take responsibility for their health, time, and calling. I'm Stephanie Book, and I coach women to gain clarity, create simple systems, and build intentional structure so they can move forward with consistent, faith-led action in the work God is calling them to build. If you're ready to live and lead with alignment, peace, and purpose, this is the place for you. Let's begin. Confidence isn't a personality trait or something some women are born with and some are not. Confidence grows as your decisions are aligned. When your focus is unclear, every decision feels heavier than it should be. You second guess yourself, you replay conversations, you wonder if you're making the right move or should you wait longer, and on and on. Anybody else? I know I have been there. But when you have that one little nugget of clarity, that confidence really begins to follow. Not because all of a sudden you're brave, but because your decisions start making sense. They feel aligned. That clarity removes that internal conflict and that unknown. When you have that restlessness stop and it starts quieting, your confidence gets that space to grow. And this is where so many capable women start to feel stuck, not because they lack ability or discipline, but because their focus maybe is even divided. There's nothing clear. Another area that can stop us is maybe fear, not fear from a danger, but sometimes just the actions that we need to take forward because things are not aligned. Everything feels important. Every decision feels risky. Having one clear direction doesn't eliminate all uncertainty, but it does quiet some of that noise, and it gives your mind a little bit more to hold on to. It reduces that mental, tug of war, the what ifs, the shouldas, the wouldas, the couldas, all those different things. That clutter that gives us like a lack of focus. But when we remove that fear kind of loses its grip, and we're no longer competing with all those decisions and thoughts, and we have a little bit more focus and alignment. So focus doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It just means you've chosen what matters right now. What's the next best step? In Proverbs 16:9, it says, "The heart of a man plans his ways, but the Lord establishes his steps." This isn't about control. It's really about trust. Clarity doesn't mean you're dictating the outcome. It means that you're taking responsibility for the direction while trusting God with the steps. That's where confidence really begins, not in certainty, but in alignment. So I want to ground this a little bit more in scripture because it's just so important. I want you to hear this. Clarity and confidence were never meant to come from our own. Psalm 73 reminds us of something really important about how God leads us. It says, "Am I continually with you? You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." That's Psalm 73, 23 to 26. I really love this passage because it doesn't deny weakness. It doesn't pretend we always feel strong or confident, but it acknowledges that our hearts and our strength can't fail, but that it needs to be anchored in something more steady, into the Lord. Confidence doesn't come from never doubting. It comes from knowing who is holding your hand while you're moving forward. Clarity grows when we stop trying to carry the weight of direction all by ourselves and we allow God to counsel, to guide our focus. And that all leads to another scripture in Psalm 32:8, which says, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you." This isn't a distant kind of guidance, right? It's attentive, it's personal, it's ongoing. Clarity isn't about demanding answers from God. It's about staying close enough to receive his counsel as you move. As we're connected to the Father, he will guide through us. He will guide us the way that we need to go as we continually to seek him. That's why confidence grows and when our focus becomes clear, not because we know everything, but because you trust in the one who's guiding your steps. When you align with that kind of guidance, hesitation starts to disappear. it might not completely go away, but it loses some of its power, right? You don't need to feel all the way ready. You just need to take one next faithful step, knowing you're not doing it all alone. God's walking you through it. So sometimes we just need to step into that fear a little bit, move forward where we know that God is calling us, and take those actions. Imperfect actions. We're not called to be perfect, but we can have the confidence in Christ, have the confidence that He has equipped us for the things that He has called us to do. And we want to rely on Him, and we're not doing any of this in our own strength. It makes us feel lighter, and we know that He's carrying us through. So let's take a minute and apply this a bit. So I'm going to give you a few different questions this week that you can ask as we're talking about this area. So ask yourself, what feels clear right now, even if it feels small? Okay, so what feels clear? What do you know without a doubt that this is the right focus? This is the right thing to do? Is there things that you are doing, or are you completely scattered? Do you have 12 different things that you think are important? It may be time to start looking at that, asking yourself, like, what is clear right now? What is perfect for this season? What is going to make the biggest impact on what I need to do next, rather than thinking about all the different things and having that clear focus. Even if it is a very small step, it might seem like a tiny millimeter to you, but it might be the next best thing for you. So look at what feels clear right now, and even if it's small, it doesn't matter. Just acknowledge that and start really understanding where that focus is, where that clarity is going to come even more and more as you can see what is looking good right now, what is feeling clear. And the second one is, where might you be waiting to feel ready instead of taking the next faithful step? Okay, so this is huge. I think that so many of us, we look for, it's easy to put those excuses in, right? It's easy to say, well, when this happens and then this happens, then I'll do that, right? We're almost kind of giving God our to-do list. Like, once you do this and this and this for me, then I'll take that action. But a lot of times that just requires that step of faith, that step of obedience toward the things that we know are there, that are right in front of us, those small action steps that we know are going to move us forward. We're not relying on our own strength. And so we're going to have the confidence that God has given us that He's equipped us for the things that we're doing. And we can focus on the main things so that we can step in with that confidence and have that focus that we want to rely on. So I think that our focus doesn't need to be like when all these things line up, but now that this one thing is clear, I can take a step toward that one thing and not worry about all the 12 other ideas that are over here, and just think about that one idea, and then stop making excuses for the action that you can take forward. I know that when we're not feeling confident, when we're just unsure of where we're at, we're feeling a little bit stuck. Sometimes that can really stop us from taking any movement, but we know that with anything. Anytime something comes up that's difficult, you come up to a wall, you come up to some type of friction that you want to move forward, but then all these different things come at us, and then we're kind of confused. We have all these different things. That's why that first question is so important. What is looking clear right now? What is that one step? And that's really all we need to focus on. One step after the next, and it starts giving that momentum. We're never going to walk a mile if we never take a step. And so sometimes that little bit of walk will actually increase our confidence because we're focused on that one thing. So I know I talk a lot about this, but I just really want you to hear this, because I think we do. I know, myself included, I keep thinking, well, once everything is in line, then I will take this next step. But then I'm stuck, then I don't move forward. And so even the tiniest little step can be a momentum. I'll talk about that in so many different avenues in your health journey. You don't drink any water, but you can have a few ounces of water when you first wake up. That's more than you did yesterday. That's progress. Like, it doesn't have to be huge. And I think I think sometimes we think that we need to take this huge step. Now, sometimes it's required for us to take a big act of faith, a big step of faith into what is next. Sometimes we need to let go full of surrender and know that God's got it. I mean, I think we should always surrender each of our movements to the Lord and let Him lead. But some some steps are bigger than others. So if you're afraid to take that really big step, what's a one tiny small step? What's clear that you can focus on that can move you forward? And that's going to increase that confidence, knowing like, okay, I got through this. Now we can do the next thing. And I feel like I'm trying to think in any situation where if you've ever been in a situation where you were like, oh, you didn't want to do that next step or you didn't want to move forward, but then you're like, okay, I got this, I had a friend this week who she had some questions about something that was going on in a group and she was really curious, but she had uh, the person that she needed to ask was maybe someone that maybe intimidated her a little bit. And so she's like kind of the Mel Robbins 5 4 3 2 1, and she pulled off the Band-Aid and knew that that was the next best step, was to ask that woman a question. And she did it. And you know what? It turned out wonderful. And she got so much information, more than she even expected. The response was wonderful. But she allowed all those different thoughts and worries and excuses and what ifs kind of play in her mind first. But she was like, no, she knew clearly what her next step needed to be. It was a small thing, just reaching out to someone and asking a question, but that increased her confidence. It gave her more momentum. And so then the next steps became clearer because she took that step. And so it could just be as much as, making that one phone call or texting that one person, or it could be a really big thing of a really big decision where you were stepping into, it looks like an abyss, but then the path comes forward. So I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, and it's been a while, but it really is, and I should look it up. One of the Indiana Jones movies, there is a scene where Indiana has to walk across this huge cavern, and he's told that when he takes a step into this cavern, into this like crazy big drop, when he takes that first step, a bridge will appear to bring him over to the other side. That scene is like so intense. And I think there was a pastor that once talked about this many years ago when, in a sermon, and it's always stuck with me that that step of obedience can make all of the difference. And so it's been around a long time, but yeah, he takes that step and that bridge appears. And so it just can be such a neat illustration of how when we surrender at all and take that one step, how, his confidence was gained because like, oh my goodness, like this bridge showed up and he was able to walk across, probably still terrified that the bridge would go away, but he was able to go across because he took that step of faith. And so I know we were talking a lot about confidence today, but I just felt like that was something that I should share, because I think that we can hold on to all the unknown and all the excuses or the fear that we're holding on to, and we're letting all of those things stop us from moving forward. But when we have a clear focus, we can take that one little tiny action step and it can move us forward. And that confidence starts coming as we continue to trust, as we continue to step forward and make those little tiny steps. They don't have to be as big as the one Indiana did. It could be like my friend who just sent that message. But look at what's clear right now and really observe the things that where your focus is right now. Are you focusing on 12 different things, or is there one thing that you can step into that would move you forward, that would give you that clarity so that you can move onto what you really want to create, and so that you're not sitting in there anymore, because you're capable. We know you have the discipline. We know that you have the desire, but we're getting in our own way so often. And so I want to help you make a change with that. And I'm speaking to myself as well, because goodness gracious, do I know that I've held myself back, worrying about the what ifs, being too scattered. And so that's when I know I have to stop, come to God and say, okay, this is what I know. These are the things. Help me focus on that one thing. What's my next step? And have that clarity, journaling it out, spending time in prayer, spending time in His Word. And then sometimes just stepping back for a moment and thinking, okay, let's not make this so huge. Let's narrow it down and focus on one thing. Okay, well, I didn't have any of that planned, but it was just what I felt I should share today. So if you're in this place where maybe a little bit clarity is coming, but you're just feeling like you need to talk through it, or maybe you are wanting to get to that point where you feel focused and confident, I would love to be able to connect with you. I actually have opened up 3 spots for a free 20-minute clarity call with you. And so if you would like to have that next step, just sometimes that conversation makes a huge difference and just helps us maybe sometimes another ear can hear and see like, oh, right there, what you just said, I can hear your focus right there. So I would love for you to just reach out. You can put clarity in the comments below or reach me on any of my social media platforms, reply here. All of those are in the show notes so that you can always find me there. And then of course I have my Steadfast bundle. I have been talking about this, but if you have not grabbed it, this is going to help you as well. And I have some other resources so we can have a conversation too, even if it's just chatting back and forth to find out what might be the best next step for you. And so I have resources. I put things together because I remember feeling lost, having no clarity, or just knowing that I wanted to do more, but I didn't have the confidence, or I didn't have the focus. Oh, I was scattered. And so I know you're ready. I know you're ready to step in and do this, right? Make the changes. And so I want to give you the tools that you can do that. So if you want that bundle, just put bundle in the comments. Again, the links, all of those things are in my show notes, and you can also reach out to me. So friends, as we leave today, I just want to remind you that, confidence doesn't arrive all at once. It grows as you take those next simple aligned steps. You don't need to be fully ready. You don't have to be completely ready. You just need to move in direction, and then clarity will point you towards the right way. One faithful step this week. That's all we need to do. And that's how your confidence is built. So friends, please remember that you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I invite you to take one simple, intentional step forward. You will find many resources linked in the show notes to support you as you build with clarity and faith-led action. If this conversation resonated with you, please share the podcast so that this message can reach other women who are ready to move forward with purpose. Until next time, remember, you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you.